Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our very first ever episode of the Belief Breakthrough Show. I am so excited to be able to launch this platform for you to bring experts straight to your door, straight to your phone or your computer or your TV or wherever you're watching us from, to teach you how to break out of limiting beliefs, to shift your mindset, and to be able to achieve anything you want in your life. Everything begins up here. If you can get this right, your life will be easy peasy. And so the Belief Breakthrough Show sits on the platform that you can change your life and achieve anything you want simply by shifting your perspective and breaking through your limiting beliefs. My name is Tina Encarnacion. I am your host of the show. I am a trauma and abuse coach, a Reiki energy healer and master, and the author of Stuck in the Fire, a story of resilience. Today, we are featuring Jen Gutfriend. She is an absolutely phenomenal woman, and she is the person I was like, you need to be my first guest because you are going to blow people's minds. You guys, this woman has changed lives. She is on a mission to empower ambitious women to put themselves first, say no without guilt, and set fierce boundaries to manifest the time, money, and happiness that you truly desire. After always putting everyone's needs ahead of her own, Jen found herself concussed on the floor of a hospital x-ray room as a full-blown burnout was causing her body to shut down. Knowing she wanted more for her life, Jen walked away from her marriage, business, and life to start her 30s from scratch, to create a life that brought her true joy and happiness, and of course, success. And you guys, if that is something that you're looking for in your life, she's done it. She's created the pathway. She has walked the journey, and she is here to help teach you how to do the same. So, Jen, please take the floor. Tell us all about your amazing life and what you've gone through, the traumas, the sadness, the upset, to the life that you now live.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Tina. I'm so excited to be your very first guest. So, yeah, everybody, I'm Jen. And yeah, I work with people-pleasing women, those women like you that just give too much and we're afraid to take what we deserve. We're afraid to say no. And that was me. I spent literally my whole life trying to please everybody else. I was trying to make my parents happy. I was trying to make my friends happy. I was the one who bent over backwards for everybody. It was this feeling of I'm not good enough because of who I am. So I have to always prove myself. I picked up this belief at a very young age that I had to prove myself, that I had to be everything for everybody. And throughout my life, that just kept compounding and compounding until, like I said, I found myself concussed on the floor of an x-ray room because I pushed myself so much. And the turning point in my life had started just before that. So it was September 10th, 2011. I still remember that date. And it was the morning of my wedding. So it was supposed to be your happiest day of your life. Mm-hmm. And I remember waking up that morning and the very first thought that popped through my head was, I am making the biggest mistake of my life. Like, that was my wedding morning. But then the next thought was, but I can't do anything about it because I'm going to disappoint everybody. So instead of following my own gut that told me, run as fast as you can, all I could think of was, but everyone's here. I'm going to disappoint them. I can't disappoint them. I'm already a disappointment. Like, I have to do this. So I walked down the aisle and I married a man who never truly loved me. He was still in love with another woman. He treated me poorly. He was very selfish, very egotistical. He did whatever he wanted. He didn't treat me properly. But I married him because that's what everyone expected of me. In my family, women, they don't worry about school. They don't worry about anything. You get married young, you have babies, you raise families, and you get supported by a husband. That's what you do. And I found myself at almost 28 years old, unmarried, no children. So when my boyfriend at the time asked me to marry him, I remember the day of the proposal. I had actually just disappeared and gone away because I had my own business. So I disappeared for 3 weeks to get away from him because he had just drove me crazy. Like, we had gone on a vacation just before. And I was ready to kill him. Like, I left. I'm like, I have to leave. I'm going to see clients. I'm going to be going away for a couple weeks. And when I came back, it was the very first day we're back. It's right before Christmas. And I remember him proposing. And I remember looking at the ring going, shit. What do I say? Like, I was just going to break up with him. I kept having these thoughts of breaking up with him. What do I say? What do I do? So I said yes. And I said yes to a proposal I didn't want to. And then that led into this marriage because I was so worried about giving everyone else what they wanted. Everyone wanted me to settle down. All I heard was settle down, get married, have babies. Don't worry about anything else. Just find someone to take care of you. So I did. I made everyone else happy. I walked down the aisle. And the moment I walked down the aisle, I was miserable. Like, I was so miserable. And my then, fiance, who treated me kind of like shit, after the wedding, he really started treating me like shit because I caught him telling one of our friends, well, she's trapped now, so I can do whatever I want. And I was like, hearing that, I was like, what the hell? Like, what's going on here? But I put up with it. And I kept putting up with it. And I had my own business. I was a business consultant. I was doing financial consulting for some pretty large companies. So I was doing that during the day. And then I was taking care of my useless husband because he wouldn't cook or clean or do anything. He expected me to be his maid because his mommy was his maid before me. Like, he literally moved from mom's house into my house. And so I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was working a full-time business, long hours doing that, plus helping his mom, plus helping everybody else. I was there for friends. I was always that go-to person. And I remember I was actually away again visiting my parents, and I was having problems with my hip. So they sent me up to the hospital to get some x-rays done. And I remember going in there and they're like, well, do you mind doing these standing? And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. So I'm standing against the wall, getting ready to do these x-rays. And the room started spinning. And I thought to myself, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just close my eyes for a second. It'll go away and I'll be all good. Well, the problem is I closed my eyes and I literally passed out. I woke up on the floor with all these women surrounding me. Are you okay? Are you okay? And the crazy thing is I look up at them and I go, I'm sorry. Like, I started apologizing. I'm like, I feel so bad. I'm sorry. They're like, no. We want to make sure you're okay. And even then, when I was the one on the floor, it hit my head so hard I was concussed. Like, it's a concrete floor and I fell pretty hard. And I'm apologizing to them because that's how I had been kind of groomed, was to apologize for everything. Even when, with my ex-husband, even when he did something wrong, I was apologizing for it. It had just gotten to be this cycle. So I remember waking up from that, and I remember kind of thinking to myself after that incident going, why am I doing this? Like, what is causing this? Like, why is my body doing this to me? So I went to see doctors and they're like, you're in full blown burnout. Like, my adrenals were shot. They had shut down. There was like, my body couldn't even function anymore. I was exhausted 24/7. I was using caffeine, sugar, whatever I could just to keep myself awake long enough to get things done during the day. And I'd pushed my body so hard and was so stressed and in this fight or flight mode 24/7 that my body literally couldn't take it anymore. And I was told that I either had to make a difference or I might not be alive for much longer, that my body just couldn't keep taking this anymore. And that scared the shit out of me. I wasn't even 30 years old and I'm already being told that, your life expectancy might be pretty low. And I was thinking, crap. So it was that wake-up call I needed. I like to say it was, the universe slapping me across the face because I wasn't listening to all their other nudges. Like, I remember, like, the morning of the wedding, them saying, go. I should have listened then, and I didn't. And then there was other nudges from them, and they finally said, well, if you're not going to listen to those, we're just going to slap you upside the head and make sure you listen this time. So yeah, I did. And so I started reevaluating my life. I really started looking at everything. Like, I was living what I call the picture perfect life. Everyone always said, oh, your life's so perfect. And saying this, and to others, yes, I had the picture perfect life because I had created this picture perfect life that others wanted for me. So of course to them, it looked perfect. But to me, I felt guilty because I was miserable. I was unhappy. And I didn't think it was this picture perfect life. I'm like, I thought there was something wrong with me. Because I'm going, okay, I'm living the picture perfect life that everyone's talking about. I should be happy, but why am I not? And it's like, what's wrong with me? That was my first thought, is what's wrong with me? Why can't I be happy? So then I tried figuring out first how to fit into this and make myself happy. And then I finally realized, I actually started reading this book called The Big Leap. And I realized that it wasn't that I was unhappy. It's because I was living someone else's life. And so shortly after that moment, within a couple months, I literally walked away from my whole life. That was in around October, and in February, only 5 months after my marriage, I walked away from my husband. I shut down my business, and I walked away from pretty much everything. I left most of my friends behind, and I literally started my life from scratch. I said, you know what, that life didn't work. That made me miserable. Why am I doing this? I need to figure this out. So yeah, literally, I walked away from everything. Everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was having a midlife crisis. Everyone thought I was nuts and that there was something wrong with me. Even people I thought were my friends were saying stuff behind my back and were, doing things. And that's why I finally just said, screw it, get rid of everybody. I'm done. I'm starting over. I need to get out of this. And, I deserve happiness. And it's my time to grab it. It's, if not now, when? Am I supposed to wait till I'm 60? Am I supposed to wait till later? You know what? Don't I deserve happiness? So, like I said, I started from scratch. I unfortunately moved in with my aunt. I was so happy to have her there because I had nowhere else to go. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? So I moved in with my aunt. I took a job for the time being, what I call my bridge job, to kind of get my shit together and figure out what do I want to do with my life. And I learned about personal development. I had never really known a whole lot about it before, but I literally started buying and reading every book possible. And I'm reading all these books. And then I started reading, again, Big Leap was one of the first ones, about your mindset, about thoughts and how your thoughts create your beliefs and how all these things are connected. And it was like, oh, wow. And then I learned about the subconscious mind. And I'm like, oh, what is this subconscious mind? And then my life changed when I discovered hypnotherapy. I was having all these blocks. I knew I had all these issues coming up. Like, I was a people pleaser for a reason, but I couldn't figure out why. So I happened to meet a hypnotherapist, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. I've tried everything else. I'm going to give this a try. And I cried. I screamed. Like, it was the best thing I ever did. And I went back to moments that I didn't even know about, like my people pleasing. One of the very first moments that I created this belief that I wasn't enough and that I needed to prove myself, I was only 2 days old. Like, literally, I was a baby in my crib hearing my mom talk to a friend about how difficult her delivery was, how difficult her pregnancy was, and how difficult of a baby I was. And at 2 days old, I picked up on that, and I created this belief of, well, I'm difficult. I have to prove myself. I have to prove I'm not difficult. I have to prove I'm worthy of your attention. Like, how crazy is that at 2 days old? And throughout my life, that just kept perpetuating. At 3 again, I had another moment that I remembered where I was all alone and felt, worthless. Like I wasn't enough because my brother got all the attention and I was all by myself and I was crying. And it just, throughout life, I felt like I had to prove myself. So I was the A+ student. I was a star athlete. I did all the things, to be perfect in this type A personality. And I never felt like it was enough for anybody. And then that's how that people pleasing. And then that got me to my marriage and all these other things that I didn't want, but I thought everyone else wanted. And over time, especially with the hypnotherapy, it changed my life. I was able to understand why I was the way I was. And the biggest issue, and I see this with so many of my clients, is as women, we create this belief that I'm not enough. That I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not smart enough. And as soon as you have that belief of I'm not enough, you hold yourself back. We sabotage ourselves because if we don't think we're enough, like me, I have to try and prove to everybody that I'm enough. So I'm going to try and make everyone want to like me. I'm going to try and prove myself, be the best person, be the perfect person for everybody. But the thing is you can't be perfect for everybody because everyone wants different from you. The only person you can be, not even perfect for, but the only person you can be is you. The only person you can ever please 100% was you. And for me, that was the biggest lesson I could learn. Once I learned that, literally the stress went away, the struggles went away, everything changed for me. When I started living for me and my wants and my desires, all of a sudden it was like life became easy. I got what I wanted. I just had to, say, hey, I want this. And it happened. I followed my passions. And the best part of it is I'm happier than I have ever been. And that to me is the very best part, because happiness is the most important. It doesn't matter if you have millions of dollars. If you're not happy, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
And that to me,
Absolutely.
if you have money, you need the money, you need the happiness, you need to have them together. You can't have one without the other. And by understanding myself and where things came from, now I know I'm I know I'm enough. 100%. I believe I'm smart enough. I believe I'm pretty enough. I believe I'm enough in all aspects of my life. And for all women out there, when you create that belief of I'm enough, literally anything is possible to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What I want to go back and touch on is that moment of burnout where everything shut down, and what got you up there, because you hinted on it a little bit, but I just want to dive a little bit deeper, because I truly believe that when you stuff or swallow emotions, they set roots within your body, and as those roots develop, they warn you. They give you little warning signs, red flags, right? And if you don't listen, then your body goes into crisis mode, physical crisis mode. And so you got those red flags with your wedding. You got the thought of your body going, run, do not marry this man. This is the biggest mistake in your life. And you stuffed it, and you're like, I'm good. I'm just going to do this because I'd rather be trapped in a marriage than disappoint people that don't have to truly live my life. Right? And then you continue to live that life, and then your body gave out on you and stopped. It went into full on crisis mode for you, and just shut down. So I had a similar experience with my body shutting down on me as well. And so I've gone back and I've researched, and I've realized that it's you swallowing or suppressing your thoughts that, if you do not listen to them, your body will then go into physical crisis mode and literally shut down on you. And it could potentially kill you. So what steps did you have to take? Like, walk our viewers through what steps you had to take to go back and pull those roots of those stuffed beliefs so that your body could physically heal.
Yeah, and that is so important. And I completely agree with you that a lot of the issues that manifested were because I was stuffing down the emotions. So because I was always stressed, because I was always trying to be perfect and do everything for everybody, that's what caused the adrenal burnout, because I was always in this fight or flight. As soon as you're stressed all the time, your body, as soon as you get stressed, your body reacts to that. Your heart pumps faster, your muscles contract. And if you're in that state of fight or flight, if you're always stressed, if you're always worried, if you're always unhappy, you know what, eventually your body can't stay in that fight or flight forever, and it starts shutting down. So yeah, so I was exhausted. Like, that was the biggest thing. I just thought I was tired. I just thought I wasn't getting enough sleep, because I wasn't, because my body had got to a point where I didn't know what is sleep and what is awake. And when I was asleep, I wasn't sleeping because my mind wouldn't shut off, or I was so exhausted that I just completely messed up my cycle. And I did go to a naturopath, and that made a big difference. I've found that focusing on the physical did help, like getting my vitamin and mineral levels up, focusing on my adrenals, trying to heal them. But it wasn't until I truly addressed the emotional side as well that I seen the full body healing, because until I addressed the emotions, I was just fueling the fire of the burnout, because that's what was causing it. So I could put a Band-Aid on it through medications, through treatments, but until I addressed that. And one of my biggest realizations is, I think I was reading a Louise Hay book, and she says it was about, at different parts of the body, pain in different parts of the body are associated with different emotions. And I thought, this is kind of cool. And I'd always had severe shoulder pain. I was in a riding accident with my horse a few years back in my 20s, early 20s. And I thought it was just from that it was just an old injury that just wouldn't go away. But I've always had tight shoulders. My shoulders have always been tight. I always felt this heaviness, and there was always sore. So someone lent me this book, and I looking through, I'm like, oh, I wonder what shoulder pain means. And it's like, do you feel like you have the weight of the world sitting on your shoulders? And I was just like, holy crap. Like, are you kidding me? And it was so true, because as a people pleaser, I felt like I had to carry everybody's burdens. I had to carry everything on my shoulders and take care of everybody. And so when I found that mind-body connection, it was like, oh my God. Like, so if I want to fix my physical, then I have to deal with the emotional as well. So Then I was dealing with the physical with a naturopath, but then I started working with Reiki healers. I was working with other energy healers, and then eventually the hypnotherapy. And even old injuries have now disappeared. I don't have those issues anymore because I dealt with the physical part of it from underneath. Not to say that I don't have the typical aches and pains from getting older, but I don't have that full body aches and pains. I'm not in pain all the time. I'm not burnt out all the time. I'm not physically exhausted all the time. And the thing is it wasn't physical. It all stemmed from emotional issues that I had been carrying my whole life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think this just fascinates me. This fascinates me because so many people, especially in the United States, do not understand the mind-body connection. They just don't. If we have something that hurts, we just go to the doctor and get a pill to pop. Like it's okay. I'm just going to go pop a pill. And that doesn't work. So at 18, I was diagnosed with an incurable illness. It was esophageal issue. My entire life growing up, I couldn't speak my truth. And so at 18, I had swallowed so many words from myself and others that at 18, my esophagus shut down, literally shut down. And I didn't understand the significance until the doctor said, we can't cut you apart any longer. We're going to medicate you until you die.
Yeah.
And I had to take my healing into my own hands. And once I understood the healing, I started to speak my truth. Like I wrote a book, I'm starting the radio show, I'm starting a podcast. Like I'm like, no, I'm dealing with this, right? No one's going to shut me down ever again. And the interesting thing is I've now lived 17 years past the expectancy date because I chose to speak my voice and heal the wounds within. And now you couldn't even tell that I had an incurable illness, right? And it's because I chose to deal with the emotions, not the physical. The physical fixed itself once I dealt with the emotions.
Exactly. It's funny you talk about that because the week before my wedding, I didn't realize this till years after, but the week leading up to my wedding, I got strep throat and couldn't speak. It was like I had got so sick that I had completely lost my voice. My throat was swollen up. I had got such a severe case of strep throat. And it was because I wasn't speaking my voice. My body says, fine, you're not going to speak up. You're not going to say what you want to say. We'll just take your voice away leading up to the week before your wedding. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing to me? But that's exactly what it was. It was my body's reaction. I was so stressed and I was so worried about things. And I had all these things I wanted to say, but wasn't saying them. And so my body just took my voice away. And I've had that many times when I get sick and I lose my voice, I have to look at myself and go, what am I not saying? Like, what am I not saying that I should be saying? Or how am I not speaking my truth? Because it's something that still every once in a while pops up. I mean, I'm not perfect. There's certain times when maybe I don't say things I shouldn't. And most of the time they're minor, but every once in a while my body, I get that tickle in my throat or something. And it's right away I go, okay, what am I not speaking my truth about? What am I not speaking up about? And it's usually as soon as I even think that, the tickle goes away, the cough goes away, whatever, it's gone. Because I've addressed it.
Yes. Now you are a hypnotherapist, correct?
I am. Yes.
You are. So, I have been toying with the idea of hypnotherapy now for a couple of years, and so I'm very intrigued. So I heard how you healed yourself with hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy had a huge impact on your healing, which probably is why you became a hypnotherapist. I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Definitely, yes.
Reiki had a huge impact on me and my healing. That's why I became a Reiki master, because I was like, this changed my life. I want to change others. And I'm sure that's why you did hypnotherapy. So my question is, for someone that maybe has never heard of hypnotherapy, or someone like myself who has heard of it, but doesn't know enough about it to actually pull the trigger and do it, how does hypnotherapy go in there and address those suppressed emotions to help you heal physically? Or does hypnotherapy do that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So I know a lot of people, there's a lot of misconceptions about hypnotherapy. Like even myself, my first ever experience was those bar things. I remember in college getting up on stage, being made to cluck like a chicken and all this craziness. So like many people, there was that fear around it. And the one I hear the most is, well, you can make me do something I don't want to do. Or how do I know you're not giving me the wrong information? So the thing with hypnotherapy is you're not in control. What it is think of it like a very deep meditative state. That's what hypnotherapy is. So your hypnotherapist, they're going to bring you down into such a deep hypnotic state into a really what we call relaxed state. So you're still aware, you're still know what's going on, but you're so calm, and we're getting into those theta waves into your subconscious mind. And when you're in hypnosis, we can speak directly to the subconscious, and the subconscious is like the computer for your body. It is what controls everything. It's your hard drive. It stores every one of your memories is stored in your subconscious, whether you remember them or not. They are there stored, and some of them are good, some of them are not so good. And the computer, the subconscious, also based off of these stories, creates your outer beliefs. So it's your subconscious that controls your thing that's going on with you. So if you're if you're afraid of something, it's because of something in your subconscious has told you to. Or like my people pleasing. So as I mentioned, I created the belief that I wasn't enough at only 2 days old. And another belief I had was that everything I loved would be taken away from me. So that happened at about 3 years old. I've always had a passion for horses. I grew up on a ranch. I've rode horses my whole life. I could ride before I could walk. And at 3 years old, my mom had this fear that I was going to get hurt because she got hurt really badly on a horse when she was younger. So I remember being on a horse riding, and my mom came out and found my dad and my grandfather with me on the back of a horse, and she got mad, pulled me off. And in my mind, I created this belief that I can't have anything I love. It's always going to be taken away from me. And then later in life, that happened again. You know what? She had this fear, or something happened and something I really loved was taken away from me. And then again, things were taken away from me. At 18 years old, my parents' business went bankrupt. We lost everything. So I had everything I loved, everything that meant something to me was ripped away from me. So I kept creating this belief. So even when it came to creating my business, I had this belief that things would just be taken away. So why even bother? So I would sabotage myself in business and in life, because why let myself be happy if it's just going to be taken away? And so that's what hypnotherapy does, is it helps us uncover what are those beliefs that are causing you to sabotage yourself. Because when we have a belief that we don't deserve something, like if we have this belief that we're not enough, we won't allow ourselves to get into a relationship with someone who could love us, because deep down inside, we don't believe it. So if we do get in those relationships, many women can relate to this. You do get in a relationship with this guy, and all you can think of is, when is the shoe going to drop? When is he going to hurt me? What's going to happen? I'm just waiting for this to go bad. And it's so bad that you create problems that then cause the relationship to break up. And then you go, see, I told you something was going to happen. But it's because we've done the things to sabotage ourselves because we believe we don't deserve it, or we believe it's too good to be true. And that's the thing with these blocks, is we create these beliefs. So if there's something you're trying to get in life and it's always out of your reach, it's because you've created a belief in your mind that you can't have that it's not available to you, that something's that you don't deserve it in one way or another, or something else is causing it, some belief within your mind. So through hypnotherapy, we can go in and understand that. What is the exact reason? So my ladies come to me and say, why can't I say no? Why am I a people pleaser? Why do I bend over backwards for everybody else? And you know what? In exchange for hurting myself, why do I do this to myself? So we ask their mind. We literally ask the mind, why do you do this? Why do you believe you don't deserve more? And then we take you back to those exact moments in your life that caused that. And most of the time, it's trauma before the age of 5. Because for children, for people, by the age of 5, you've created over 50% of your beliefs. So the way you talk, the way you act, the things that you believe, like we talk about these money blocks. How many people have heard their parents say money doesn't grow on trees? And you now say that to your kids, because you probably heard your parents say that before the age of 5. So now that's ingrained in your mind that money doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't just show up. It isn't just available. You have to work hard. So you create these beliefs. And then by 18, you've developed 85 to 90% of your beliefs. So by the time we're adults and told that we can make up our own mind and make our own choices, 90% of our programs are already in place. We only have 10% to work with. So what our parents say to us, what we see, how we're treated, create our beliefs in ourselves. So like myself, I had low self-worth. I had no self-esteem. I didn't believe in myself. I had no confidence. Like I had none of that, because I had been programmed to not believe those things. I had been programmed to not believe I was enough, that nothing I ever did was good enough. So I created those beliefs. So by going back, I can pull out those belief systems. And the nice thing about the subconscious and about the mind is it gives you what it thinks you want. So if those younger beliefs say, one thing, but now you want different, you can go back in and tell it. You can go back and look at those beliefs, those thought patterns, and you can now change them. Because that's what accessing the subconscious through hypnosis does, is you can see, this was my belief. This is the reason I have this belief. These are the stories that my mind has told me as to why I need to believe these things. And then you can go in and go, well, no, it's not. That's not what I want to believe anymore. And it's like you're rewiring your brain, and it's instantaneous. That's the nice thing about hypnosis is, I still do affirmations, but affirmations take time. So I call hypnosis affirmations on steroids. So you're going in and you're telling your mind, this is the affirmation. This is what I want. I want to be a successful, confident woman. And your mind goes, okay, that's what you want. That's what I'm going to give you. And literally, when you come out of hypnosis, you start believing that. Within your own mind already that that's available, that's who you want to be, and there's nothing holding you back anymore. It's so transformational and so fast and so powerful. And we deal with everything. We deal with the emotions. When we go back to those scenes, you're then processing and dealing with the emotions that you couldn't deal with back then because you didn't know how. At 3 years old, we don't know how to deal with our emotions, but now we do. So if you need to cry, I don't think I've ever had a session where a woman doesn't cry while she's in hypnosis. And you say what's on your mind. I don't know how, it's so powerful to see a woman say to somebody something that they wanted to say at 3 years old, but they couldn't because they didn't have that voice. Like, how many times did something happen to you as a child that you wish you could have just, told your parents to F off, or I can't believe you're treating me that way. And that's the power of hypnosis, is you're back in that younger version of yourself's body, and you get that chance to say what was on your mind. You get to say whatever you want to. So you're expressing those emotions that you've been holding in for all those years. And when you express those emotions, when you get them all out, all of a sudden it's like this weight is lifted, like this energy moves through your body, all this negativity moves out because you've just expressed it and you've got it out. And now your body goes, oh my God, I feel so much better now. Thanks. Like, I'm done. I'm good. I can move past this and I can heal now.
That's amazing. So another question I have, and this will be our last question, is what are 3 nuggets that you can give our viewers to shift their mindset, break through their limiting beliefs, and achieve the life that they dream of?
The number one is believe you're enough. That is the most powerful thing any woman can have, is that belief in I'm enough, that self-worth, the self-love, and the self-confidence piece. When you have those 3, anything is within your grasp. Another one is deal with the past. You can't just stuff things down and think you can move forward. We unfortunately have to go back and we have to deal with the garbage. We have to clean it out before we can truly have what we want and work through things. And another one is you're deserving. You deserve to have, be, do, and have everything you desire. Nothing should be holding you back. You are no less than anybody else. You are no less deserving. And you need to start believing that. And when you start believing that you deserve all of those things and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get them, things will happen. Magic happens.
Yes, it does. So Jen, if someone wants to work with you, if they're like, oh my God, I need this woman in my life, where can they find you?
So you can find me at liveyourremarkablelife.com or on social media at liveyourremarkablelife.
Awesome. Thank you so much for giving us your time today, Jen. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel so that you can keep up with all of the amazing experts we'll have coming on in the future, please subscribe and hit the bell at the top so it lets you know every time we go live. We will be going live every Monday and Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock Pacific time. If you want to be surrounded by amazing people that are like-minded and on their own healing journey, you can join our Facebook group, Women Empowered to Heal. Again, that's our Facebook group, Women Empowered to Heal. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today, and we will see you on the next one.